up, you guys? It's Marie here from a new location. I am sitting on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, enjoying myself, having a week-long vacation with my family. I did a photo shoot and stuff. It was great. Definitely check out my Instagram, Marie Tagbo. Today's video is a video that I have been working on and writing ever since I decided to do more dating and story time videos on my channel. The title is Lessons I Learned from My Shitty Ex, Regrets from My First Relationship, or Lessons from My First Relationship. This video is exactly that. If you've never been in your first relationship, if you're thinking of entering into one, if you're getting over your first relationship or someone who had a huge impact in your life, that's what this video is. I love that there are some people who are going to know exactly who I'm talking about, who are going to be like, oh, it's not that bad, like, oh, it wasn't a big deal, like, you're blowing up, you know, something out of nothing. Also ignore my nails. And that's great for them. They weren't there. They don't know the context and the story. Even you guys that I'm sharing this story with won't know the full context. I'm mainly just going to be giving snippets of stories and advice that apply to the situation, things that I learned, things that I wish I knew. July the 4th just happened, and we literally used to spend every July the 4th up until this year together. So obviously I'm going to have some feelings about that, and I feel like there are people who will benefit from this story being told. If you guys like hearing realistic and helpful dating advice for the average girl, please subscribe. And if you can relate to any of the stories I'm talking about here, or any of the things, if you have your own experiences with a shitty ex, just comment down below and let's commiserate together. A lot of this I'm going to be using in terms of like heteronormative language. I'm going to be saying like he, she, because I think a lot of my experiences are with straight men. I think a lot of this can be applicable to anyone. These are things that hopefully will be red flags or green flags or whatever for whoever the person is, regardless of your sexual orientation or your gender identity. And I just also want to note that like this video is still hard for me, I think, to make, because it's hard to be vulnerable about the story about a first, because I think a first has so much to do with like your innocence. Like you'll never love as hard as you did with your first, or you'll never believe in wholeheartedly someone as you do with your first. Obviously for me, this person was a childhood friend who we grew up together and had worked to establish a trusting relationship with, but he broke it several times, and so we're gonna get into some of those times. So lesson one, this is something I wish I could have understood, like really nailed down. And that is how he makes you feel in your worst moments are way more important than how you feel in your best moments with this person. So with this person, for context, like we dated and broke up, and there were like long times that we didn't talk, and then we would talk again, and then like long times that we didn't talk again. And during the times that we didn't talk, like not only were we not friends, but like he would like talk about me and things that I did with my other friends, and you know, he would like actively ignore me, or like the way he ended the relationship was like really awful, right? And so those were like my low moments. But then sometimes there would be some really great moments, like moments where he would be extremely vulnerable and extremely honest. There was one time like we were in like a pool together, and he was just like confessing to me everything, like how much he missed me, how much he thought about the future with me, how much he wanted to spend his whole life with me. And that was such a high, and that was so awesome that I was like, oh, he just must have really cared about me and just not known how to show it. But like, no, like if he can let you feel that badly and not do anything about it for so long, like I'm telling you, that's how he really feels about you. Like even though it can be really nice to go on this roller coaster, like the truth has already come out because you feel so badly, if that makes sense. And I'm not talking about like, oh, I feel anxious in a new relationship. I'm talking about like, no, like he actively did something or said something to you that made you feel bad. There's another example of when it was like basically we were with a bunch of friends, and there was a little friendly competition going on about who could be the strongest or whatever, right? I won. It was like me and this other guy, and we were doing push-ups to see who could last the longest. And like I won because even though my push-ups weren't as deep, I was like keeping up and lasting longer. Like I won based on like my effort. Obviously not gonna beat this guy who's been training a lot longer than me and who was a lot stronger than me, but he, like my ex, went out of his way to not only talk about me with my friends, but like come up to me and be like, yeah, we all thought that like you didn't deserve to win. Like he literally said that while we were dating, and I was like, oh my god, like I can't believe you would say that to me. And I got really pissed. And like, you know, years later, like he did apologize after I brought it up, but that moment of him kind of like blowing me off and like not even like congratulating me, like just so quick to tell me that other people didn't respect what had happened with me and that he didn't care or wasn't happy for me, that was the sign that he was not someone who would genuinely be happy for my successes. Number two, I would say, is like, I feel like everything we've been taught as a woman, like everything we've been taught as women has been about how to actively deny our intuition. And I don't know what it is about society. I think we just know that women's intuitions are so strong and that men can get away with a lot more BS if women don't listen to their intuition. But listen to your intuition, please, especially when it comes to other women, because I believe that someone who really cares about you will like actively work to quench your fears. Like, you might still feel insecure, but they won't be like, ugh, like, why are you feeling insecure? They'll like want to comfort you, or they'll want to let you know and reassure you that you are the person that they're thinking of. We were dating at this time, and there was a girl who was like actively flirting with him, like pulling him off to the side to talk, touching his arm, laughing, and she clearly liked him. Of course, you don't want to be the controlling girlfriend. Like, you want to be Miss Cool Girl and you want to be fine with it. But I'm also someone who's pretty upfront. So when it got to a point where all my friends were like, yeah, girl, like he's literally leaving you to go off and like talk with this other girl and do all these things with this other girl, I was like, oh, I should say something. So I went and I said something to him about it, and like I was like, can you just like let her know, like it's like locked down, like maybe she doesn't know, like this is definitely how she feels. And he was like, like yeah, that's sure, and then was extremely distant the whole day. And then that night, that's when he ended the relationship. And he had stated his reasons as being like not ready for a relationship. And so I was like, wow, like maybe I'm just like this insecure girl. Like I made a whole deal and I blew up this whole thing over nothing. But I thought that like, and they never ended up like dating or anything. So I was like, wow, like maybe there wasn't really a problem with her. Like maybe I was making it all up. Well, years later, when I talked to him, he was like, yeah, like to be honest, I was just really horny and I wanted to talk to other girls and I wanted to do my thing with other girls. So like the fact that he had even entertained it for so long, and then he had like doubled back and been like, no, like you're the one, like trust me, like and then of course ended it. Like my intuition about her, the fact that I was even noticing her flirting with him, the fact that I felt so bad about it, that was the sign. Like that right there was all I needed to know. And I think like us as women are like waiting for like a concrete, like, oh, he cheated, oh, he kissed her, like whatever. But I really think that there's a difference between being insecure and having an intuition. And if your partner is constantly entertaining people in a way that you haven't like agreed upon in your relationship, and then going back and be like, no, like trust me, it's fine, but they're not showing you like with their actions, they're only telling you with their words that they see you as the number one, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Lesson number 3, which kind of relates to lesson number 1, which is pay attention to how he treats you around his friends. And I think there's like a lot of girls that I've seen who are like really the cool girl. Like they really got that award, that number 1 title. I am so happy for them. I think they're so freaking cool.
She's a cool girl. Cool girl is hot. Cool girl is game. Cool girl is fun. Cool girl never gets angry at her man.
Okay, and what they're able to do is hang with the bros, take all the jokes, be the butt of the joke with his guy friends, and like still be cool with it. Not me. I'm not great with disrespect, and I do notice that especially in a lot of like immature guys, like they literally do not want to seem weak or vulnerable in front of their friends. Later, my ex explained it was part of the reason like he ended the relationship was because he felt like he was really into me, and he noticed and felt like he had to pull away because his friends were making fun of him. I personally now want to be with a guy who's not only willing to stand up for what he likes in front of his friends, but also has friends who are supportive. Like, I don't want the guy who hangs out with guys who are like, oh, you're being a simp, you're being this, like just because he treats a girl well or he shows affection. Like, I want a guy who surrounds himself with friends who treat women respectfully, who see women as people, and who want to accept a woman as a human being into their friend group, or at least to, you know, be cordial with her. And even if all of that's not happening, like, he should never be making you feel stupid or silly or the butt of the joke in front of his friends. And I feel like things like that happened a lot, where I felt like I wasn't the priority when he was with his friends. And I'm not saying, oh, you have to spend all this time with me when you are hanging out with your guy friends, but I'm talking about a situation where we're all hanging out together. Like, you should actively want to be seen with me. I really wish I had been more secure in myself, more secure in my self-esteem to call out that stuff, because I was so nervous about coming off a certain way. But I think if you're calling out something that someone's doing every 5 seconds, like, no, maybe it's not the one. Lesson number 4, and literally, it's not even just my experiences that I think speak to this. I think that I've seen so many of my friends and so many girls on the internet and so many people I know, like, confuse this, okay? His desperation is not your problem. His loneliness is not your problem. His singleness is not your problem. First of all, I would mix up his desperation for vulnerability. So anytime he told me, like, how much he wanted to be with me and he wanted to spend time with me and all of these things, and not in like a, oh my God, you're so great, you're a great person, more like, I need to fill a hole in my life. Like, that's what it was. Like, I'm lonely, like, no one else will hang out with me, like, I need you. I would be like, oh my God, he's opening up finally. And he was opening up, but he saw me as an answer to his problems, if that makes sense. As women, like, hearing those words, I miss you so much, like, I really want you, like, I really want you to be with me, like, for me at least, it made me feel so happy, so desired, and so wanted, and I was willing to overlook some things because I thought that meant that he really cared. But what I found out was that what he really cared was getting his physical needs met, and for taking what didn't belong to him, and for making his desperation my responsibility. And I know a lot of girls who go through this, and they might tell you things like, it's us against the world. But sometimes if you're an empathetic person, you might relate. You might be like, I'm lonely too. I'm sad too sometimes. I have a hard time making friends. And so you feel like you and this person really connect because you're both relating to the same thing. But the thing is, if someone's coming to you with their bucket half full, they are not looking to pour water into your life. They're looking to take water and fill up their own bucket and to satisfy their needs. And both people entering into a relationship, you don't have to be perfectly whole and perfectly satisfied, but you shouldn't be looking to use the person to save you. And like, by being with this person, I'll suddenly feel happy. Like, that will never happen. And a lot of men will be like, well, you know, if you're not here, who else will be? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of guys will say that. I've had guys say that to my friends who are girls. I've had that kind of relayed to me, like, oh, I know I'm nothing, like, you're the only person who would give me a chance. And it's like, hearing those things, that's literally a number one, like, ding ding ding, like, something's wrong, because you should be the first person to give yourself that chance, and then looking to share what you have left over with everyone else. It's just not your responsibility to love someone into wholeness. It's not your responsibility to fix somebody else. And you might feel that burden, especially if you've grown up with parents who made it feel like it was your fault whenever things went wrong, but you literally can't save someone else, and in the end you will hurt yourself. And in my case, like, his desperation never went away, and as I set boundaries on our friendship and the relationship, he became even more desperate. And that might not be the case with everybody. People deal with their loneliness in different ways, but I felt like I could coexist with him being like that and seeing me in that way as long as I had rules. But when someone doesn't see you as a person, because they don't even maybe see themselves as a person, it can self-destruct very quickly. And lesson number 5 that I would give to anyone who is thinking about entering into a relationship, getting out of a relationship, whatever, I would say a big thing to do is, like, grieve. Like, I know that sounds really intense and a lot and emotional, especially when you're ending a first relationship, regardless of how it ended. Like, you are losing something. You are losing an aspect of yourself that you will never ever get back. And whatever things happen in between, they were your firsts. And firsts are big, firsts are magical, firsts are new, firsts are a one-time thing, and you'll be changed forever, and you can mourn that part of yourself that is gone, that has altered. Grieve if he took something from you that wasn't yours. Grieve if he pressured you into something you didn't want to do. Grieve if you'll never love as strongly again, or grieve if you did love him as strongly as you wanted to and you know that he will never be a part of your life again. And grieve with the ones who will continue to support you and take your experiences as treasures, to remember who you were and to celebrate who you are now. Like, I do think that like dating is so much of a loving death, grieving, rebirth process. Like, I think there's so many cycles and we get better, hopefully, obviously at each cycle, that, you know, we learn from it and we take some things from it and it changes us and we learn and we reflect. Let yourself grieve 100% because you deserve that. And those are pretty much all of my lessons for today. If you guys liked this video, please, I would love to hear some of your stories. Specifically, are you still friends with your ex? And if so, why or why not? I would love to hear your guys' experiences in the comments. Please subscribe if this video is helpful for you, if you related to something, if something struck a chord. Be sure to check out my previous video where I talked about the one who got away, where I met my soulmate, and things didn't go as I expected, and I learned a lot from that, and I feel like that story has a lot of ups and downs. And I will see you guys in the next video. Ciao!